This is Kits and Wagers, game week 17 in the Premier League. We got 6 games we're talking about, 6 bets we're talking about. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Chris Owen. Chris, Thursday, December 19th, ahead of the busy festive season here. How about Liverpool? 2-1 at Southampton. They almost gave it away late. Did you catch that?
I caught the last probably 20 minutes or so of it.
When
so
Southampton were the better team.
Yeah, they had them all over. Was it Brereton Diaz who missed that kind of back post one-timer that probably should have packed that one away. But yeah, they got lucky to advance, and they played a pretty changed up team, and that was a fun team to look at, to see that was line up and see a couple guys rested. But yeah, we're back. And I mean, how many games do we have in the next 20 days here?
300, I think.
Yeah. So we got this weekend, and then we got a quick, Thursday?
Yeah, Boxing Day. You got Boxing Day, post-Boxing Day, and then New Year's Eve or something no, even quicker than that. It's back to back to back to back.
Yeah, because it's weekend, Boxing Day, weekend, midweek, weekend again, or something like that. It's insane.
Yeah. Either way, there's a lot of games to be played, and this was kind of like the start of it. We had UEFA play last week, though we still got UEFA Conference League going on today, Thursday, as we're talking right now. Chelsea, of course, again, putting up 5 goals a day. We also got the Carabao Cup. 8 teams played in the quarterfinals midweek, and so there's some teams that rotated midweek. Some teams didn't rotate because they can't rotate. We'll see rotation at some point for some teams. It could be this weekend. It could be Boxing Day. It could be after that. There will be rotation at some point for every team, basically, in the next 2 weeks. So just be wary of that when putting bets in before you actually see some lineups, because that will affect some things. But game week 17, let's get into some bets. Here are our records. We both went 2-1 last week, if I remember correctly. We're just below even on the season. I'm down $56. Chris is down $79 on $100 bets. So, another positive week from us, and we'll be back in the positive. First game we're talking about is a pretty interesting one. Standalone, 7:30 a.m. Eastern match. Aston Villa are hosting Manchester City. Manchester City let go of the game in the Manchester Derby last weekend. Aston Villa, I can't remember what they did. They let go of the game against Nottingham Forest. So 2 teams that kind of lost it a little bit in last weekend. So an interesting game between 2 teams that haven't really looked at their best this season or in the last few months. So Aston Villa are plus 110 not to win. Manchester City are plus 110 on the road. Aston Villa are plus 235. The draw is plus 265. So what do you think? Manchester City comes back. This is finally the time they come back, or is it just continued struggles for Manchester City, who 11 straight matches, 1 win in their last 11 matches, I believe, is the stat going around.
Let me ask you a question first before I get into my bet.
What do we got?
How many days do you think it's been since Manchester City won away from home across all competitions?
Away from home? Was it at Chelsea in the Premier League opener?
No, it's been more recent than that, but
it
wasn't in August.
So not that long ago. Okay. They beat I don't know, who did they beat on the road?
The last time they won away from home was October 20th against Wolverhampton. They won 2-1. It was 56 days ago was the last time they got there. They got all 3 points away from home. You mentioned, haven't been winning a whole lot of games. They've been struggling, and I think we said this probably 5 or 6 losses ago or draws ago. We're like, oh, they'll bounce back. It's been 5 games. It's been 6 games. No problem. It'll bounce back. But it just continues to, is not getting any better. The odds are interesting here because you're still getting City favorite, I believe, right? Away from home against Aston Villa. And
plus 110.
Yeah. So you're still getting pretty good odds here for them to win, which is, kind of interesting, despite a team that hasn't won away from home in 50 plus days. Aston Villa, as we know, they'll hang tough. They gave fits to City all last season. Came away with that huge win. I think that was in February last season. So have proven where they were truly the most dominant team. That feels like eons ago, though, for both teams. But I'm sticking with what we've been seeing. Aston Villa haven't been overly, in the Premier League, they haven't been overly dominant. They haven't been that good in the Champions League. They've been much better here, where they're sitting in a pretty good place to advance to the knockout rounds of the round of 16. So we've kind of had a mixed bag out of both, but just given the way what we've seen from City and like what we haven't seen it really improve. I'm going to go Aston Villa double chance here. They're playing at home. I think they can take at least a point here, and then just sprinkle on a little bit of over 2.5, because given the way that City are conceding goals as of late, I think we see a couple goals. I am concerned that I think they'll at least be able to beat this Aston Villa back line, but I'm over 2.5 goals. It's plus 155, getting really, really, decent odds here that the plus 155. If this was like lower, like a plus like 115 in the over 2.5, I'd probably go a different route, but I just like that we're getting some over plus 150 odds here. So Villa to win or tie and score over 2.5 goals across both teams, and that's plus 155. Do you think City finally turned it around? You think, Villa haven't been as impressive at home, or where's your thoughts on this game?
I can't imagine this is the game City finally turn around. That Manchester derby, you can't feel like these guys are gonna bounce back after what happened there. It's like, okay, after that game, now we're gonna finally bounce back after giving it away on two kind of stupid goals there at the end there. I don't think this is the bounce back game. When I looked at it, I was initially on, okay, maybe the under. Manchester City haven't really been getting great opportunities pretty much in any of these games. But then you consider Aston Villa, who pretty much allow at least a goal in every game outside of Champions League, where they've been better. But they've been terrible defending against counterattacks, which maybe isn't how Manchester City score goals. So maybe that'll come into play. But Aston Villa seemingly allows a goal. Their matches are pretty high scoring because they always allow a goal, but they can seemingly score against everyone. It maybe feels a little bit like that Man City at Crystal Palace match. 2-2. Crystal Palace had a lot of good opportunities. Wasn't like Man City dominated that game. So I kind of feel like it could be something similar to that, where Villa get their chances, but then they also allow De Bruyne, Haaland, whoever to get one or two. So I think I like your bet, even though I initially was on something else. Corners and wagers. I took a corners bet on this one as well. So check that one out. YouTube.com/@RotoWire Soccer. The first game I'm talking about is, I think it's Ipswich against Newcastle. I believe it is. Yes, it is. Ipswich are home against Newcastle. Ipswich are plus 340 to win. Newcastle minus 140. The draw is plus 300. Looks like Newcastle are getting some money. I'm not sure why. They opened a couple weeks ago, 10 days ago, minus 115. Now they're at minus 140. Nick Pope is still out. I believe his Dubravka had a mistake midweek against Brentford and allowed a late goal. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. Either way, Liam Delap is suspended for Ipswich, which doesn't help because George Hurst, their other forward, is out with an injury. So they're down a little bit on their number 9 striker there. So that is a bit worrisome in this spot. But I lost my bet last week. I bet the Wolverhampton Ipswich match. And kind of similar to the week before, I'm just going back with a similar bet here because Newcastle away from home aren't the same team as playing at home. Newcastle also didn't really rotate a ton in Wednesday's game against Brentford. Basically the same midfield they're going to have here. Pretty much the same squad, actually, if I'm looking through their squad, what they had on Wednesday. So same squad is going to be in this one. This is Saturday, short turnaround. In addition to them playing more defensive at home, not really looking like the same game controlling team on the road. So I'm just looking a little bit on Ipswich. I also like the double chance here, but let's just go with another race to corners. Race to 3 corners for Ipswich down plus 155. I took a race to corners last week at Wolverhampton. The problem was Ipswich scored an early goal. and then they ended up winning. So they're on the road with the lead. They weren't going to get corners. I don't project them to play with a lead for more than 45 minutes in this game. So that's why I'm kind of leaning on the race to 3 corners here, plus 155.
Yeah, if the no striker here, I feel like it's going to be tough for them to do any like hold up play. They just have to like pump it long or get it to the wings and try to put balls in. But yeah, and this is at Ipswich, or is this home for Newcastle? Okay, so yeah, maybe a little bit more on the front foot than they would be if they were at St. James Park. But yeah, the race to 3 corners is always such a spicy affair. You're like, it's not enough. It's not 5 where you're like, okay, like the team who possesses it more is more likely to win this. It's just like, all right, who's going to get there right away type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of, okay, if Ipswich actually starts this game amped up, adrenaline flowing, they're more likely here. They're playing at home, more likely to get corners early. Or if that doesn't happen, maybe Newcastle is the one doing that, and then they get the corner. So it's more of a, okay, who actually looks good, who's playing positive in the first 20, 30 minutes, where the 5 corners could be back and forth, and then one team gets corners kind of a thing. So a little different on the race to 3. So that's kind of why I went race to 3 instead of race to 5, because I don't think it's going to be, okay, Ipswich are going to get 5 corners right away in the first half. I think it's going to be, if they get corners, it's going to be early. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Chris is talking Everton are home against Chelsea. Chelsea, last I checked, they had 5 goals today playing against Shamrock Rovers. So shouts to Chelsea. We got a matchup of the Blues in this one. Everton plus 425 to win. Chelsea minus 160. This has gone down probably because of Everton's defensive success in the past 2 months, I guess. Chelsea were minus 190. Now they're minus 160 to win. Cucurella is suspended for Chelsea, so they might have Renato Vega playing at left back. Unclear what their manager Enzo Maresca is going to do here. Dwight McNeil missed the game last week for Everton against Arsenal, so we'll see if he's back from his little knock on his knee that he has. But Everton, can they keep another clean sheet here against, I think, Chelsea, or if not the highest scoring team in the league, the second highest scoring team in the league?
Yeah, this is a funny little matchup, because you see like Everton, who have been shut out in 5 of their last 6 games. They did manage to put 4 past Wolves, but I mean, I'll be talking about them in a second. And like, who hasn't scored against Wolves? They just sacked Gary O'Neill and appointed Vitor Pereira. But so you look at these, they were shut out by Arsenal. That's not really a surprise. They did score a few against Wolverhampton, but shut out 4-0 to Manchester United, shut out against Brentford, shut out against West Ham, who, as we know, has not been a very good team. And then the other match they were shut out was against Southampton, who has conceded goals to pretty much everyone too. So, for all their defensive efforts, they simply are just not a very good attacking team. And I'm leaning on this one here. You said at Chelsea, are they the leading goal scoring team in the league? And they are. They've got 37 goals, one more than Tottenham so far this season. So I do expect Chelsea to go out on the road and get 3 points here, and that is reflected in my bet here. But I led with the shutouts. The amount of times that Everton has been shut out, I think they struggle to score goals again here. I initially started on the Chelsea clean sheet, which is plus 165 if you like that, and you think maybe Everton holds them to 0, as a 0-0 draw, which I just don't see happening given how Chelsea play, how they've been able to fill it up. I like Chelsea to win in a shutout here. It's plus 190, really decent odds here. And if Everton had more than 4 goals in the last 6 matches or hadn't been shut out in 5 of 6, I'd maybe entertain a different bet here. But I'm just going to go with the fact that they are not a good offensive team and take Chelsea to win in a shutout. It's plus 190.
Have you? Are you saying it doesn't matter that Chelsea may be without their top 3 of their starting usual defenders here?
I think that obviously people who are on the field matter. People, the players on the field matter, as we know. But like, I would
maybe
feel
not for Chelsea.
I would feel differently if it wasn't like Everton getting shut out by Southampton, Everton getting shut out by West Ham, Everton getting shut out by Brentford at home. That, like
Wasn't that Southampton game 1-1 though?
1-0.
Oh, they lost?
Yeah, November 2nd. Everton
Oh,
won,
okay.
Southampton
I'm
won
I'm
1-0.
thinking of the cup game. They went to PKs. Okay.
Yeah, so like it's not like those are impressive defenses. Southampton's not impressive defense. West Ham, it was that was moments before the El Sacico. Like they're just not good backlines, and so yes, I mean Chelsea have given they haven't been the most airtight defense either, but you just lean on some of those previous results where the defenses were definitely worse than the Chelsea B team.
Fair, fair. Yeah, in addition to Cucurella suspended, Wesley Fofana is injured, and so is Badiashile. So those are the guys I was talking about. But again, they've been rotating fully in midweek games, and they have guys. I mean, as I said, they're the backup coming in is Tosin Adebayo. Came from
Right.
Fulham. He
Cool.
was sort of a big addition in the offseason, even though he's considered like their fourth center back, I believe, on the depth chart. I guess we could mention, sure, we'll give a shout to Reece James, but he's always out, so it's not really anything new. Another game. This one is Saturday. We're going back to Saturday. Brentford are home against Nottingham Forest. The odds have pretty much stayed the same spot. Brentford are plus 130, one of the best home teams in the league this season. Nottingham Forest, one of the most surprising teams, plus 200. The draw is plus 245. Big thing here, I think, on Wednesday, Ethan Pinnock went down with a hamstring injury, arguably their best defender. Sepp Vandenberg picked up a groin injury before the game, has started almost every game for them this season. So 2 defensive injuries, which is never good in the midweek, which especially isn't good because they allow so many goals. Nottingham Forest lost, didn't really get a complete update on them, but Murillo and Yates left last week's match. Murillo, again, another arguably their best center back. We'll see what his actual status is. Nuno doesn't really give great updates during his press conference, so it's unclear how healthy those guys are. But I think I talked about this a week or two ago. Maybe it was actually last week where I took Chelsea money line, both teams to score. I guess it was last week, but bread and butter Brentford bet is basically both teams to score and then taking the home team double chance or money line. So that's what I'm going with here. Brentford double chance and both teams to score plus 110. Defensive injuries or not, I think just playing at home, Thomas Frank effect, Brentford. I think it's a good spot for them to get a point. Nottingham Forest, they've had a great season, but they tend to play better against they have played better against teams that actually want to possess the ball. Brentford aren't exactly a team that want to possess the ball. So this will be a little different matchup. Forest has struggled against, has struggled more against the teams in the bottom half because they don't actually play the way they want them to play, is what I'll say. But Brentford double chance, both teams to score plus 110 odds there.
This is interesting. Yeah, Brentford's got the best record at home in the league. They won 7 games. You got 22 points, 7-1-1, or 7-1 and no losses at home. So yeah. the double chance you gotta like. Forest have been, probably surprised us all, but yeah, I think I was surprised you didn't go money, just a straight up money line bet here. That's kind of a spicy bet, plus 130.
You could, but those midweek injuries, like you take out just on a short week, Pinnock. You're taking out Pinnock, you're taking out. I mean, Vandenberg. I know he's kind of new a little bit, guy from Liverpool, but I know they're replacing him with Ben Mee, Christopher Ayers there. So you got guys that are coming in, but it's always a little bit worrisome. Also, Brentford, high scoring team. They're scoring a lot of goals. Nottingham Forest defense has been one of the best in the league. So how is that gonna happen in this match? So I'm playing a little safer here with the double chance.
It'll be spicy. This is probably one of the. Aside from that Sunday game that you're going to talk about in a bit, this is probably one of the best matchups of the weekend.
Brentford, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, you would have thought.
No one's ever said that before, but here we are. We're saying it now on Kits and Wagers. We got a relegation battle and a new manager bump and a 4-game manager bump here for Leicester City. Leicester City are home against Wolverhampton. almost even here on both these teams. Leicester City plus 150 to win. Wolves plus 170 to win. The draw is plus 255. Leicester City, the big thing with them is they've allowed over 70 shots in the games Ruud van Nistelrooy has managed in 3 games. Wolverhampton have just been pretty bad in general, but they're getting Vitor Pereira. Aitnery, I guess, is suspended as well through yellow cards, so it's not great for him. But so Vitor Pereira, he basically somewhat of a 3-6-1, somewhat of like a 3-4-2-1, some kind of manager like that. So we could see something like that. 3 center backs here. That's kind of what I'm projecting here for Wolves. But again, he was officially signed Thursday. He's going to have 2 days of training with this team. So how much does that mean? But definitely different motivations. So is that coming into your bet at all?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get the new manager bump, you just got to be weary. I feel like that's like a stay away from the money line bet for me, or like something like that, because
or is it Wolves money line? You go to that.
It could be, perhaps I'm not going to go that route, but like that's like maybe I'm going to avoid my Leicester money line, whatever that was, like plus 160 bet at home, because I don't, like these guys, like it's like you get a new boss, you're at your job. One boss leaves, the next boss comes in. You're kind of fighting for your life there. You want to impress that person and make sure that you're, stay in their thought process as you move forward. And so that is the case here. I think, we got the Matt Dohertys of the world who are going to be like, all right, I got to keep a clean sheet, or I do, if I was to look at this rosters, both of these starting 11s, I think Wolves has a better starting 11 than Leicester on a player by player basis. I don't know if you agree with me, but that's where I would go. But anyways, I'm going to skip the money line bets. I don't like the over unders because, Leicester, despite giving up a ton of shots, Wolves coming with a new manager, they might like tighten it up a bit at the back. They might play a little more conservative just to preserve what could be an important point against a team that they're likely going to be scrapping for at the end of the season to stay out of the relegation zone. So, I hate those bets, but I do think you look at Wolverhampton have given up the most, I believe the most corners away from home of any team so far in this season. They're giving up a boatload of corners either way, whether it's home or away. And I think, the premise that they might be playing more defensive, they might be letting Leicester step forward a bit more, I think leans into the fact that we could see a lot more Leicester corners than they've maybe been garnering in the past. And so the fact that they might play conservative, they have been giving up the most corners in the league. It leads me to the fact that I'm going to take the Leicester over 5.5 corners. It's plus 100, and just take that and see if that can't happen here. So
Leicester over 5.5 corners plus
better.
100.
In the corners and wagers better now?
No, I don't ever want to bet on Leicester corners if I'm being honest.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know about playing defensive. I feel like, again, I don't, Vitor Pereira, I'm not too familiar with Al Shabab or really any of the teams he's managed. He was at Porto for a little bit. Not entirely familiar with how he wants to play, but I'd be surprised if they come out here and be like, okay, let's just sit back and be defensive. I think you can win your bet if it is more up and down. It'll be like, okay, this is the first game. Let's win one for the gaffer is what they say. So I think we can get up and down. Leicester at home, probably more opportunities because they're at home. You asked what team is who's actually the better team. Cunha is probably the best player on the pitch. And I'd say Lamina Gomez better than Samare and Skip. No Ndidi for Leicester still. So you probably give the bump there to Wolverhampton, but then you get into Vardy against Strand Larson, and you get some other questions in there. Whoever starts for Wolverhampton, I don't know if it's going to be Goncalo Geddes or someone else. And then you got the puppies over at Leicester. So there's questions on both these team squads, but I can buy the over corners. I think both teams actually get corners in this one because I don't think either team is going to really, step up, dominate possession, dominate the game. So I think we can get both teams getting, over 3.5, over 4.5 corners. I'd be looking at that too, even. So
I think it was 10.5. is where you could get your like minus 110 or minus 115. So you'd have to go all the way up to 10.5 for both teams for a total over to hit.
Yeah. One thing I like doing is just if you like one team to get corners and think they're going to allow, I've done this in Fulham and Tottenham matches where it's okay, take one team over 4.5, one team over 3.5 or something, or whatever the numbers that makes sense, and you get better odds than, obviously it's more difficult to hit than straight up over 10.5 or something, but I guess I haven't really been too successful on that bet. I do like doing it, but I'm not successful doing it.
Parlay in the two teams bets, but not hitting, like not going for that like plus 100 over.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's talk on the biggest game. We can finally talk about Spurs, who eked out a game Thursday home against Manchester United. It finished 4-3. It finished while we were talking. Looks like Johnny Evans got a late goal there. Looking at the XG here, Spurs 0.67, Manchester United 2.38. Spurs got a couple early goals, and then Manchester United got a couple dumb ones. Either way, I got some interesting odds here. Spurs at home plus 300 to win. Liverpool minus 135. The draw is plus 330. We still got the same guys pretty much out for Tottenham. We know Vicario's out, Romero's out, Van de Ven's out. Bentancur's suspended. Ben Davies is going to be out. We'll see about Udogie if he comes back. Jed Spence has been getting more time at fullback lately. So these odds are kind of surprising. It's kind of built into like what's going on at Tottenham, but back-to-back wins for Tottenham. Even though they gave up some stupid goals on Thursday, some confidence. I'm actually kind of surprised in the odds here. Tottenham play up. I took something similar to this in the Chelsea game. They kind of let me down a little bit, but let's build off the confidence here. My bet is going to be Tottenham double chance. No single game parlays. Tottenham Hotspur double chance plus 105. They're at home. Liverpool, whatever. Liverpool, whatever. Plus 105 double chances. What's your bet, Chris?
I have not even looked at this game. I haven't looked at it for a bet, but I think if you can get keep going to the well on the Mo Salah to score or assist. If you can get any odds on that, I think his record against top six sides is crazy. Like I think United is his number one, maybe that he has the most amount of goals against goals and or assists, but then after that it's got to be Spurs. So these games are always a little bit nutty, shall I say? Late goals, lots of drama. Would it be weird to think that this one's like a little bit? No, it's Spurs. A little bit more. I was gonna say reserved, but I look at that League Cup matchup of the 4-3, and yeah, the last few match 4-2, 2-1, 4-3, 2-1, 1-1, 2-2, like a boatload of goals. Can you get I guess you probably can't get a plus 1.5 Spurs bet, but that if you got that at a decent bit, that would be, I guess, plus Spurs 1.5 and like over 2.5. You probably can't pair that together. But yeah,
Spurs double chance and over 2.5.
Yeah, that could be a play. I just don't. It's Liverpool's won 3 of the last 4 of this matchup. Spurs won at home last season. This is definitely the game of the weekend, and some goals would be nice, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could have gone with over. What's over 3.5 is minus 135. I could have gone something like that where there's goals, but I just like the odds here. I just like Tottenham. They're at home plus 300 to win is kind of heavy here. But if you consider the matchup, if you look at the matchup, it's like we got this Tottenham back line. They didn't play great today. But it definitely feels like a spot where Salah, they're just going to go wild on the wings, and Spurs are just going to have massive issues in the back. But I looked at the odds, and I just feel like the odds are I just don't think that Liverpool should be minus 135 on the road here to win. So that's basically the reasoning for my bet. even though it's a great spot, I think for Liverpool to get goals, I'm just taking the odds. I'm just taking the odds. If you want to bet something else, just bet. I'd say bet like Liverpool over 2.5 goals or something like that, because it feels like a game where Liverpool probably have the edge overall and are more likely to score. Liverpool over 2.5 is. I mean, it's still only plus 125, so it's not even great odds there. It's just the odds are super heavy here on Liverpool.
Yeah, the one thing that is will play a role in this is the fact that minutes ago this Tottenham Spurs. I didn't look at the lineup necessarily. The Tottenham United game finished up 4-3, as you mentioned, in the League Cup. Liverpool played Southampton yesterday in League Cup quarterfinals as well, but they played like
rotated.
They started a bunch of young guys. I think there was Alexis McAllister was in the midfield. Trent started at right back. I think Tsimikas started at left back, and he might start again here this weekend. And then maybe it was Diaz or Gakpo was out on left, but otherwise it was like no Salah, no Van Dijk, no Gravenberch.
Gomez, TAA went 45 each.
Yeah, and they played like Kwanzaa and Wataru Endo at center back. So like they should, they're coming off a little bit of rest, at least for a couple of those guys. But that might play a role here.
Yeah, basically like Spurs didn't really rotate a ton on Thursday because they just don't. The bench isn't really there. Like you look at their bench, like Brennan Johnson, who isn't 100%. He's basically the only guy who gets regular minutes that was on the bench. Reguilón came on late. Lucas Bergvall, one of their Swedish signings, came on as well. So that's like what we're talking about with the Spurs bench right now, given their injuries. So, they're probably going to play pretty much the same 11. So, like you said, that's another thing that could hurt them in addition to just being bad defensively overall. So, all right, that's all we got for game week 17.
Yeah, totally.
Let's check out the cheat sheets here, see what else we got. Chris, anything else stand out to you for these matchups? As you said, I mean, you're pretty stoked for this Brentford Nottingham Forest game. Fulham are the biggest favorite of the weekend. They're home against Southampton, another team dealing with a new manager. Arsenal at Crystal Palace. Nothing really too much stands out. Man United home against Bournemouth is actually an interesting one. I wrote up a bet in that one, but anything else here?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned we already talked about the Brentford game that I'm excited to watch. But yeah, like can Arsenal get a result here? Like just that top of the league, they all struggled last weekend, I think, except for Chelsea. Arsenal drew, City drew, Liverpool drew, and then Chelsea were able to get that result. So are these teams going to be able to get back to finding 3 points or not? And then, a couple good I got that relegation scrap in with the Wolverhampton game, but there's some other big time games that are down there, like the Fulham Southampton thing. Can Fulham keep it going? Can they find their way up the table? Should be interesting.
Should be interesting. That's all we got game week 17. I think that's going to be it for a couple weeks for us. Chris has some traveling to do. I have some traveling to do. A little more difficult over the holidays. We'll still have some betting content over at rotowire.com/soccer, but maybe not from Kits and Wagers. Chris,
maybe like a cookie graphic.
Just pull up the cookie graphic from last year.
Yeah, from last year. Yeah,
I'll just retweet that one. I'll find it somewhere in the archives. Chris, you can find him at CHR08. I'm at Zdroik. You can find RotoWire Soccer at RotoWire Soccer. Please like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Hope everyone wins some bets over the holidays. Enjoy these games. A lot of action going on. RotoWire.com/soccer. Thank you, Chris. Happy holidays to everyone. We'll probably see everyone in 2025.